Day 13 of Diddy's trial, and his former personal assistant, who's going by the name of Mia, is back on the stand. Prosecutors are still questioning her, and we just found out that both Diddy and his security D-Rock reached out to Mia after Cassie filed her lawsuit. After hearing so many witnesses, especially Cassie, talking about D-Rock, I actually thought maybe he'd be one of the witnesses that would flip on Diddy, but then when I heard that, I said, yeah, probably not. Let's get into Mia's testimony and what she had to say before we get into those phone calls. Starts off by talking about the fact that she dated a Diddy employee. His name was Matt and he was a sound engineer. And even though they had an apartment together in New York, they rarely ever saw each other. She then talked about accompanying Cassie in South Africa when she was filming a movie in October of 2015. She found out Diddy was cheating on her with a woman named Gina, so she stopped answering his calls, and so he decided to take his anger out on Mia. She said she woke up to 48 missed calls and that Diddy had threatened to fire her or unalive her if Cassie did not call him back. He texted her, call me now, now. If you don't call me in 2 minutes, I'm going to tell everything. You're fired, F ABC and their lawyers, let's go to war. Line about ABC, she said he was threatening to destroy the show that ABC had purchased from her, which was her proudest career moment. When asked if her show ever aired, she said no. She also feared that he would expose the SA but frame it as consensual to turn Cassie against her. It wasn't just Diddy that was harassing her because Christina Coram, aka KK, was also texting and calling her. KK told her, you need to call him now or you don't have a job. Text KK to let her know that she had been asleep and said, it sucks to wake up to this every morning. I'm being shit on from all sides. I'm in a effed up spot. KK responded saying, can you call me when you get a chance? She responded back saying, I wrote, I'm having anxiety attacks and night fears. When asked about who, she said Puff. She then emailed Diddy saying, I'm really sorry, Puff. You know I love you, smiley face. I paid for my own flight. It will cost to change it. I'm sorry to ask for the money. I'm sorry. I want to make sure you are good. At the end of the day, regardless, I love you. She said she wrote that email because Diddy had told her he wanted her to return to the States, but then he told her he needed her to stay, and she had already changed the flights, but didn't have the money to pay for it. So she told him, Cece, which is Cassie, says she really needs me right now, but of course I'll do whatever you want. I love you. She said, I wrote that because I worked for him and that's all that mattered. She said when she got back to the LA office, she lost access to Diddy, which made her job a lot harder. Reason being is because she needed his okay on everything, but he wasn't responding to her. She talked about another moment in 2011 where she was on a yacht. It was New Year's Eve and she was with Diddy, Kim Porter, the kids, and other people. And Diddy had asked her to count the money, which was usually the security's job. Apparently she was counting the money too slow, so he chased after her and told her she better learn to walk on water like Jesus, and then said, B, get the F out. She said she wanted to go back on land, but the crew told her there was a hurricane, so she hid on the third floor, and Kim Porter tried to console her and tell her not to worry about it. She said she then saw Diddy coming toward her, so she ran and hid in the crew cabin, and also said that they kept her passport, so she couldn't even leave the country because they were in St. Bart's. And there was a lot of back and forth because the crew took her to land. She was then told to come back on the boat, and then she was told to get in the car and go to Vegas with Diddy. She talked about many reasons where she was suspended, one for presenting the wrong workout clothes, once for falling asleep after being awake for days, and she said HR write-ups would make her feel like she was the problem. She said she tried to leave, but she believed that he would ruin her career, and she was scared of him. She eventually did leave in 2017, but prior to that, she said she was working on a bad boy documentary where she was the producer. She said she was blindsided when Brian Offit told her that Revolt Films was ending, even though it was the only company that had made money that year. Brian said that they would work out severance, but it was the holidays, and said she was heartbroken and ghosted by Diddy. She eventually spoke to KK, who told her she was still working on the documentary and did so up until March or April. Afterwards, she would cry herself to sleep and she would avoid everybody's calls, including Cassie, because she never knew who was around Diddy. Eventually, she hired an employment attorney who sought $10 million for unpaid bonuses and severances, but they settled for $400,000. She took half and her attorneys took the other half. Asked if she told these attorneys about the SA, she said never, she was going to die with it. Apparently, KK reached out to her saying that Puff couldn't believe she did that. Asked if she had any other lawsuits against Diddy, she said no, and then asked did she reach out to him when Kim Porter and Andre Harrell passed, and she said yes. Did you tell him you loved him in messages? Yes, that's how I would speak to him. In the next part, I'll talk about the fact that D-Rock and Diddy tried to reach out to her and what happened then.
At this point, the government has built a pretty strong case against Diddy on that RICO charge. And as for the sex trafficking charge, Deontay Nash, who is Diddy being Cassie's former stylist, presented some pretty significant testimony. Not only did Deontay testify that he witnessed Diddy beating Cassie bloody, but he's also the first person in Cassie's inner circle to back her claim that she didn't want to do these freak-offs. Deontay walked into that courtroom as a celebrity stylist would, very fashionable. And he also made one thing very clear, that he didn't want to testify. Deontay was able to back some key points in Cassie's testimony, including Diddy blackmailing Cassie by threatening to release sex tapes, threatening to get her parents fired by sending those tapes to their jobs. He also says that Cassie opened up to him about the freak-offs and witnessed her packing her bag for weekly hotel visits. He says there would be times where he would find himself in the middle of their fights. He also told the story of the OVO Fest, where he and assistant Mia tried to hold Diddy back from beating Cassie. He says an angry Diddy started hurling insults at Cassie and started beating her. Deontay says he tried to jump on his back and was thrown off. This is the incident where Cassie says she hit her head on the headboard and had to get plastic surgery to fix the scar. But Deontay says that Diddy would be violent with him too, popping him on the back of the head. He also says that he would help Cassie hide out, which led to him fearing for his own safety. At one point, he says Diddy showed up to his home looking for Cassie, searching his entire home, even the oven, which perplexed him. Deontay says that he was also there at Cassie's 29th birthday, where Diddy was pressuring her to do a freak-off, and he says she didn't want to do it. He also says that he spent a lot of time with Cassie in the studio, watching her record so many songs that were never released. He says if he's being generous, 10% of that music was released. But he says he did witness Diddy threaten to not release Cassie's music if she didn't watch her mouth. Fear, intimidation, control were the underlying themes once again during Deontay's testimony. But like other employees, the defense pointed out that Deontay kept in contact with Diddy over the years, to which he responded, "This man's sanity was my safety. That's just what I was used to." The defense also pointed out that Deontay started off as an intern, and it was Diddy who turned him into a celebrity stylist, insinuating that he owes Diddy his career. But I think it underscores why we keep seeing former employees keep coming back to Diddy's world. Because, for example, Capricorn Clark says that she started as an assistant, but then Diddy made her the head of Sean John Women's, and then later a creative director. The defense also pointed out that Deontay and Cassie still have a close relationship. In fact, he said he congratulated her on her baby. But home searches, lie detector tests, physical violence, threats, these are all things that we've heard from former Diddy employees. That's why I think Deontay is the 5th employee that we've heard from if you count Don Richard. And at the scene of almost every single situation are Diddy's security. D-Rock, Uncle Paulie, Ruben, we even know their names. Drug use is also a big theme, particularly Cassie's drug use. Capricorn Clark testified that in the mid-2010s, Cassie's drug use started affecting her music, and the defense leaned into that to show that Cassie was an addict. But the prosecution presented the drugs as a way to show that they were used to coerce Cassie to perform these sex acts. I'm on my way to court now, and we're expected to hear from Mia. It's a pseudonym that they use for a former assistant of Diddy's. She's someone that Cassie called a friend, and we're seeing this blend of employee-friend relationships. And also the prosecution really hone in on people that worked in Diddy's business.
You posted a photo of the man who ruined your life, the defense attorney questioned. Mia is now in cross-examination, so let's break down her testimony and everything she said before the jury was dismissed for lunch. I'm an attorney and I read what happened, so you don't have to. Defense attorney Brian Steele showed the jury several photos that Mia had posted on social media after the time she alleges that Combs was already essaying her and threatening her. In one 2013 photo, she's holding a bottle of Ciroc and tagging Combs. In another photo, she's leaning onto Combs at Burning Man with the caption, "Take me back." Steele asked, "And he terrorized you, right?" Mia replied, "Yes." "So why post positive content?" Mia responded that social media was about showing a perfect life, even when it wasn't. "I didn't want my family to know what I was going through," she testified. She also added that Combs fans followed her on social media, so she didn't feel safe posting anything real. Another photo showed Mia celebrating Combs' birthday, and Steele questioned the caption, which read, "Happy New Birthday." Mia testified that Combs had decided to change his birthday that year and made everybody promote it. On Mia's birthday in 2014, Combs had posted, "Behind every great man is a great woman. P.S. Sorry I was crazy last night." Mia reposted it and wrote, "Love you. You've shown me the world." When questioned about it, Mia testified, "He threatened my life on the phone the night before, and I guess that this was his way of apologizing." Steele pushed back. "You reposted that knowing that he traumatized you for years?" To which Mia replied, "Yes, of course." The defense also pointed out that Mia had friends outside of work, and Steele suggested that she could have confided in them, but Mia disagreed. "I did not have an external sounding board," she testified. "I had to beg to go to my grandma's funeral." Lunch put a pause in cross-examination, but not before Steele asked, "How do you have a good moment with Combs if you're terrified of him?" To which Mia responded, "It's easy. The dynamics would shift. When things were good, we felt safe. We almost forgot about those things." Court is now on a lunch break, and cross-examination is expected to resume after lunch. So make sure to come back for the next part, and let me know if you have any other comments or questions down below.
Yeah, Diddy said with a straight face, "Oh yeah, I like to thank Cassie for holding me down during dark times." Yo, watching that in real time, I was like, what the I said, is he threatening her? I instantly thought that. Instantly! Is this motherfucker threatening Cassie? I didn't see them together in forever at that point. And for him to, all right, I get Lorianne Gibson and TD Jakes, you know, you seen him with them recently. But for him to say, oh yeah, I also want to thank Cassie for holding me down during dark times. I was like, whoa, I said that seemed like something else. Did y'all not feel the same way? Because I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, did I miss something? And then I remember I kept checking the Shade Room. I was checking all them websites like, what the hell happened recently with him and Cassie? Now, y'all know for like award shows, MC Light is always the narrator or whatever. But I remember like after he said the whole Cassie thing, he tried to like make light of it. He was like, oh yeah, I want to thank Harlem, Boogie Down Bronx, da-da-da-da-da, whatever. It was awkward for MC Light to even keep narrating because I was like, what is going on? I was so confused. Next thing you know, all hell broke loose and it been breaking loose ever since. Every time I turn around, it's a new update and it's more... Baby, please.
Diddy's trial continued today, and this is everything his ex-assistant Mia said in her cross-examination. Diddy's team started by showing the courtroom social media posts that Mia had made. There was one post where Mia was surrounded by bottles of Ciroc vodka, and the caption said, "What we do when you're not around," and she tagged Diddy in it. There was another photo of Diddy in a coffee shop, and Mia had captioned it, "Just the #1 guy in Forbes getting me a coffee, no big deal." Mia had also posted a photo of her and Cassie with some others at the Burning Man festival saying, "Take me back." You might remember from Mia's testimony about Burning Man that Diddy forced her to take K in front of everyone. Diddy's team were then saying to Mia, "This is the same man that sexually assaulted you, that terrorized you, that gave you PTSD." She said yes. Diddy's team also brought up Diddy's birthday party in New York City in his apartment where him and Mia did shots, and then she said he sexually assaulted her. Diddy's team said, "Alcohol overcame you, right?" And Mia said yes. Diddy's team then said, "You believe you were drugged?" And Mia said, "I didn't say that." Diddy's team then brought up posts that Mia had put out there about Diddy's birthday, wishing him a happy birthday. Diddy's team called it the anniversary of Mia being sexually assaulted by Diddy. Mia said, "I don't celebrate it as the anniversary as that. I see it as Diddy's birthday." Mia had written in a birthday post to Diddy that he'd given her an extended family, that she loved him, that he was really funny. And Diddy's team were asking her, "Why would you post this about someone that traumatized you?" Mia said she posted them because social media is about showing how good your life is even when it isn't. She also said she had lots of Diddy's fans that followed her, but she didn't want her family to have a clue what she was going through. Diddy's team then put to Mia that she had said she'd been sexually assaulted more times than she can care to remember by Diddy. And then they showed another social media post that she'd written about him where she thanked Diddy for inspiring her every day. Mia said that people didn't write bad stuff about their lives on social media back then, and also it was her job to promote Diddy. Mia also said she did have friends outside of her job, but she never got to see them or speak to them. She said that she didn't have an external sounding board. She said, "I was in fear anytime Puff was not happy." She then said she always wanted to make sure Diddy was happy because that meant she was safe. She also said that she had to get permission to go to her grandfather's funeral. Diddy's defense team asked Mia, "How do you have a good time with Sean Combs when you're terrified of him?" She said because the dynamics would shift, and when things were good, it was almost like everything was forgotten. The court was then shown a scrapbook that Mia had made for Diddy. Looking at it, Mia said, "I remember this. It was so nice of me." Mia had given the scrapbook to Diddy on his 45th birthday. Within the scrapbook, there was a note from Mia to Diddy, basically reminding him to live in the moment. Mia said she made Diddy the scrapbook because Diddy had a lot of money and it's hard to get gifts for someone who has everything, and she thought it would make him happy. Diddy had also implied to her a few times that he'd kind of done everything and there was nothing else left. Diddy's defense team asked Mia, "Why did you stay working for Diddy for so long and do things like making him a scrapbook?" Mia said she was young and manipulated and eager to survive. She said she was now unraveling these things in therapy and nobody was there at the time to tell her these things were wrong. She said there was nobody around us that even flinched at Diddy's behaviour. She said, "I was always in trouble and I was just trying to find a way how not to be in trouble." Mia also said there was a difference between her logical brain and her trauma brain. Diddy's team asked, "Why would you need someone else to tell you that it was wrong, that Diddy made you feel like he was going to kill you?" Mia said eventually it just becomes normalised and you're always trying to get back to the good. She says you make excuses for people and that she was a people pleaser. She said she just wanted to do her best and make people happy all the time. Diddy's team suggested 3 times during the cross-examination that Mia had made up sexual assault allegations. They said Mr. Coombs never had unwanted, non-consensual, forcible sexual contact with you. Mia said that everything she said in the courtroom is all true. She has not lied at all. Mia said in her cross-examination when Diddy decided to shut down the Revolt TV and film production company, she was heartbroken. She said she messaged Christina Karam saying, "My life is over." Mia said that Christina tried to call her and she didn't want to answer, and Christina said she was just checking that she was okay. Mia said that she was so heartbroken she couldn't breathe. Mia also testified that she didn't want to leave the company where she was starting to see her dreams come to life, meaning the TV and film production company. Diddy's team asked Mia why she wasn't happy to be free from her employment of Diddy. Mia explained that the job was everything she knows, and she compared the time working to Diddy to dog years and said it felt a lot longer than 8 years. Diddy's team said that to stop working for Diddy could only be a good thing because she'd be away from her abuser. Mia said no, because at the time I didn't realise that and I didn't have hindsight. Mia's cross-examination then wrapped up for the day. She is due to come back to the stand on Monday, and I will be recapping everything that is said in the court all of next week.
Witness number 4 is still on the stand. Witness number 4 is probably going to be on the stand till the end of the week. Diddy's team aren't happy. As well as her own run-ins with Diddy, she is also backing up now Cassie's testimony, because she was there through majority of it. They asked, "Did you go to Prince's party?" She said, "Yeah." They said, "What happened the night before?" "It was a big award ceremony, a suit in the Beverly. Prince performed on a little table. Then I saw Puff come in with his bucket hat. We locked eyes. I thought, oh crap, Cass just booked it." They said, "Well, where did you go?" She said, "We went across the street. There was woods or bushes. But Puff caught Cass and had her on the ground. Puff then started to attack her, but Prince's security quickly intervened." He said, "So what happened after?" She said, "I went to another hotel. The next day, HR told me Puff was suspending me without pay." Did she say why? She said Puff said I was being insubordinate. So the judge put the jury on a break, and this is because there's been a little bit of a discussion. Diddy's team are not happy that she's going to potentially stay on the stand till the end of the week. She was meant to be on the stand yesterday. They dragged it out. Now they're not happy because the prosecution are dragging this out. But this girl has got massive testimonies.